Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Poker News podcast. This is episode number 484. I am your host, Sarah Herring, joined by your co-host, Brent Harrington, on the other side of the screen. And today we have the best guest ever. Just kidding. We have lots of great guests all the time. This week we have Andrew Neeme, a vlogger, winner of two American Poker
Awards, yeah.
Count them two.
Dose.
He will be coming up very shortly. We're going to give you a little brief taste of the news. I'm glad to see that the mustache is still rocking and rolling.
It is. It's here. I think there were some tense moments. I was thinking about it, and then I kept it. So
yeah. Well,
we'll see. I almost feel like I have to now.
Yeah, you're
like so many people comment on it.
You're committed. You're deep into this. That's what I think too. When men get a beard, it's like they never want to get rid of it because it's such a conversation starter. Everyone's like, oh, great beard. And it's like, is the beard really that great? Or did you just want to, like, you have to comment on it because it's, like, so aggressive and in your face. That's what your mustache is like.
Oh, thanks. So aggressive and in your face. I don't know. It's fun, I guess.
Now, you have plenty of hair, like, above your lip, but in case
I still have some hair on top of my head.
In case you're missing some hair on the top of your head, I want to talk about one of our newest sponsors this month. It is Hims, a new wellness brand for men, and they cover a ton of things. This is kind of like a one-stop shop for men if you're looking for all these different sorts of ways to fix certain issues, which might be uncomfortable. And one of the coolest things about it is that instead of having to go into the doctor and talk about your issues, you can just do it on the interwebs, which is the way I prefer to do basically everything. Here, some of the things that they cover, they have a one-stop shop for hair loss, skincare, sexual wellness, basically any sort of issue that a man can find himself in later or early in life. They have medical grade solutions, real doctors, and they offer well-known generic equivalents to the name brand prescriptions. So this helps you, keep your hair at a price that is reasonable and, without having to go through the embarrassment of, going to a waiting room or talking to a doctor or a nurse. That's always the worst, when you go to the doctor and you have to explain yourself to like 4 people. Like, I'm really ashamed.
Like, can you repeat that again?
Yes,
hang on. Let me get these people to come in. Tell me again what's not working. Yeah,
you wrote it down. You checked some boxes, and now I have to go through it all again. Like, please. I mean, and in this like weird robe thing. Anyways, if you go to forhims.com, you don't have to deal with that. You just answer a few quick questions. The doctor will review and prescribe you. Then it comes directly to your door. I actually spoke with the co-founder myself, and I think that the concept is really great. And, I think it's getting to this point in the world where there are solutions for a lot of the problems that, have long plagued men and women, let's be fair. But, if there's a solution out there for hair loss, get after it. And actually one of the things that they mentioned and that we talked about is that if you are starting to feel something or if things are getting a little thin up top, get after it now, because it's a lot easier to keep what you have than to get something to grow fresh.
Yeah, exactly. And we all know like what that looks like, right? Are you familiar with what's his name? I was going to say Mickey Rooney. No, but the guy Wayne Rooney, he got hair plugs. He's like 28. He got hair plugs. And that was like a big thing on social media for a long time. People would show these photos of how absurd it looked, because he was replacing his lost hair. So
yeah, it's tough. Although I think Daniels has looked pretty good, Mr. Negreanu, but he has a lot more money than most of us. So if you guys are looking for a discount, order now. My listeners / our listeners get a trial month of everything you need to keep your hair and whatever else you need on the side for just $5 today, right now while supplies last. See the website for full details. This would normally cost you hundreds of dollars if you went to a doctor or a pharmacy, but for now you go to hims.com/pokernews. That's FORHIMS.com/pokernews. ForHims/pokernews. Get that month for $5. That's all I'm saying. So now let's get into the serious news part of the show. I want to first give a big ol' shout out to David Pham, who won the WSOP circuit, which just ended, but mostly because my girl Christy Arnett was at the final table. Am I right?
Yeah, that was awesome. I tuned in a little bit, watched some of the coverage, and Yeah, I was very excited to see, I think, the journey via Facebook, right? Christy was like, I'm playing this tournament. Now I'm at the final table. And it's like, it's neat to see that. It's like, oh boy, just win. But you can't win them all.
I was so excited because, basically someone's like, oh, there's like 34 left. And you're like, I hope it works out for you. And then she's like, there's 11. And then there's like 9. And like, as it goes on, you're just like, please. But still, I mean, like when there was a picture of her on Instagram. If you guys don't already follow, I'm talking about Miss at Christy Arnett, but she's pulling out like stacks on stacks from her backpack on Instagram. And I love to see my girl shipping that money.
It's always nice to see your friends succeed at poker or whatever their given profession is, right?
100%.
It's definitely cool.
And I feel like, I guess we should also give a shout out to David Pham, who did win the tournament.
Yeah, well, no, I mean, but, David's been around for a long time. Yeah. I think he has like 3 bracelets. His most recent one he won last summer. Like, he's a legend.
Yeah, he's been around for a minute. He's a great player. It was interesting, though, too, in reading some of the social media and things back and forth. All the players at the final table were being really kind of open about mistakes that they'd made. And I always love when there's a live stream because it's, I think a great opportunity for, of course, the viewers, but also the players themselves to go back and kind of rework different situations, what they thought was going on, and then, what was actually going on.
Yeah, like when you try to tell somebody a hand, you don't necessarily remember every little detail. Like there's so often I'm like, oh yeah, like let me tell you about this hand. And my friend's like, okay, well, like how much was in this guy's stack? How much was in this guy's? I don't know. The blinds were like this, and it's like the video documentation is much easier. You're just like, oh, here, go to this moment, and then tell me what you think.
Yeah, or you're just like, hey, don't watch the video.
Yeah, turn that off. Ban your IP from YouTube or something.
I want to talk about this because we just wrote an article on PokerNews, and actually this is something we've talked about a little bit. It's been in the news, but now we're talking about Joe Ingram again. That basically, so he made all these videos recently calling out America's Card Room for basically that there's collusion and it's not, maybe it's straight out cheating, maybe it's bots, whatever it is. He was basically showing that there's these like impossible win rates, and ACR essentially responded, I think, from what I understand, as saying like, oh, you're wrong, and also it's fixed because we did an update. And he was like, well, no, it's not fixed. And then now the latest development is that 2+2 has actually announced that they are going to pull all the ads from WPN, which WPN is the site that actually America's Card Room has a skin on the WPN network. And so all of the advertising that's coming from the WPN network, 2+2 says, we're not going to have them on, and their subforum is getting closed. Did you hear about this?
I did. Yeah, I was reading that article. That seems pretty intense. I mean, it's like, the common phrase or whatever, like your money is speaking, like customers don't want this. 2+2 doesn't want to promote something that could be potentially hazardous to people. And it's a big thing. I mean, especially in poker when there's so few people, there's not a ton of money out there from poker advertising. And if you turn away something like this, ACR, up to this point is one of the more popular of the unregulated sites. I think it's a big deal for sure. And, maybe hopefully it'll enact some change, right? Like a significant change that's going to be, helpful to the players, because there are people who have, they're making their living doing this and they don't have the option to play regulated sites where they're at. So they need to, find a space in these unregulated sites and maybe make that work. So
yeah, and I think so. Basically, what Joe said now is exactly that. As an American who wants to play poker online, he's had to take a lot of risks and kind of look around and try to figure things out. And actually, what he mentioned is that he doesn't know that much about the global poker, but he's interested in global poker and figuring out kind of what that's all about. So he actually mentioned that he's going to talk to the founder of Global Poker and have him on his podcast and ask all the important questions to maybe shift his playing over to there. And it's interesting because I've had some talks. In fact, Global Poker is one of the sponsors of the podcast this week, and I've spoken to them ad nauseum, and their real goal is to bring just fun recreational players. They're really, really stuck on trying not to attract this, shark pool. And actually, they have a lot of really crazy good promotions going on right now. They have $200K in guaranteed cash prizes during their Global Poker Madness, which it's the biggest standalone tournament in Global Poker history. And you can qualify on globalpoker.com and see why Global Poker is the fastest growing poker site for U.S. players. So I've been talking to them a lot, and it seems great. And they are, putting, some money back into the industry, which I really appreciate. And they've been pretty transparent. I think it's great that the CEO, I think it's the CEO, and founder is going to go on Joe's podcast. Obviously, they're going to ask some hard-hitting questions, but good luck to you, Joe, and good job for being for being sort of a journalist, I guess, and figuring
a champion of the players for sure.
Absolutely. Okay. What I put on the outline, and I feel like maybe you can talk a little bit about this. It just says this guy streamed his face off.
Streamed his face off. Yeah. Oh wait, now I have to click to make sure I actually say his name right. Arlie is his name, but is it Shaban? Shaban? I have to look. But yeah, so 120 Arlie Shaban. And I have seen his name tweeted out. I've seen people tweet about his channel. I watched a couple clips. He has a crazy beard.
I was just gonna say,
yeah,
like
it's a bit of a beard. Yeah, it's a heck of a beard. So it was pretty exciting. I mean, Twitch poker. We were talking about the profitability of using these a lot of these streamers as a way to bring new faces and people into poker. Arlie, I guess, was also on Big Brother Canada, so there's a connection there.
I was wondering, did Kevin
some reality
Martin
TV.
Bring him into
probably.
the streaming world?
I imagine he did, or maybe it was a thing where Kevin, the fact that Kevin went on Big Brother led some of the people from Big Brother to kind of look into what Kevin does. So somehow I'm sure it had some influence on there.
Welcome
I don't know for
to
sure.
our side.
I do know that Arlie is going to run it up Reno at the end of the month. So 2 weeks from now, I'm going to meet the beard face to face. The mustache will meet the beard.
Ooh.
And it'll be exciting. But yeah, so I mean, just the idea, 125 days straight imagine working. Cause I mean, streaming sounds like not working, but in a sense, it's kind of like you always have to be on, right? For 125 days straight, every day, not taking a day off. It sounds intense, and he's made it through it alive. But we'll see. It'll be exciting to see what happens because there are a lot of up and coming people, or not up and coming, but streaming, vlogging, all of these things.
Yeah, but what's up with this? So I saw, and maybe I shouldn't say this, but it says that PokerStars basically sent him a message, that's like, congratulations for streaming 125 days in a row. And then I was thinking, shouldn't that come with a message that's also like, and here's your free something?
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean,
I got a message that was like, good job. But nothing else. I'm like, okay, thank you.
I think, I don't know the details of whatever kind of situation he has going on, but maybe that's the first step in him becoming one of these PokerStars online guys. Who knows? The celebrity that he holds outside of poker, obviously, I'm not a person who watches Big Brother, but obviously this has a following and there's fans of the show, that'll probably watch him because they liked him. Yeah. I mean, that's gotta be cool though. There's a clip of it in the article. I'll link it in the show notes or whatever. But there's a clip of him kind of going nuts because they sent him this message, right? They sent him a message the PokerStars support. So it seems like he was just giddy at just that. So
yeah.
Maybe they knew he didn't require a gift. Here's your free PokerStars leather jacket or chip set or something.
My diva-ness is really starting
You're
to come out.
just hi? Just thanks?
Maybe like a t-shirt? I don't know. Like,
Yeah, like I streamed for 125 days and all I got was this freaking t-shirt. That would be cool. Poker Stars, bam.
Doing a commercial for you for 125 days. Like I was hoping to get maybe like a bottle of wine. I don't know.
Oh, yeah. Maybe you could pull that.
Not Arlie. Arlie doesn't
Maybe
care.
he did. I don't know.
Maybe there was a secret message we never saw.
The secret message of here is a shaving kit. I don't know.
Well, you did mention Run It Up Reno, and I've been seeing all over the social medias that Solve for Why and Run It Up Reno have been doing a heads up charity shootout for the Reg charity. And I, for one, as I think I've mentioned before, I'm a huge fan of Solve for Why Academy. This is the same homies who did... Oh my gosh, Matt Berkey, what was the name of Dead Money?
Dead Money, yeah.
Dead Money.
Also won an American Poker Award.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I basically love all the coaches on this team. I think I've had done Facebook Lives and stuff with a couple of the guys, and they're really like next level kind of coaches and people in general. They really are, and we're not paid by Solve for Why or Run It Up or anyone else. But yeah, and I think this is a great sort of partnership then. I love the team at Run It Up. Love the guys at Solve for Why. Boom, get ready, make money, charity. Why not? You can watch it too, right?
I think, I don't know the exact schedule. But yeah, runitup.tv today that we're recording. So, maybe the last day, but it might be also tomorrow. So when the episode comes out, you might still be able to catch the finals. But it was like a 16 or 32 player bracket with some celebrities, a couple of familiar faces from Run It Up, like Jeff Gross, Tyson Apostle from Survivor, who goes to all the Run It Up Renos. He's a great guy.
Ugh, you're right.
And
it's going to be over today. So
okay. So the final will come out today. But I want to say like Russell Martin and was it Martin? No, that's a baseball player. What's his name?
No,
that is
it's going to be over by the time they get there.
That's
true. We'll
true.
let you guys know next week who is the champ. And actually next week I'm going to be moving to Texas, so it's just going to be Brent here with our latest. Actually, PokerNews is about to drop its own vlog featuring Jesse Capps, who is a poker player who was really at the top of his game maybe 4 or 5 years ago, went through some struggles, is kind of now started at the bottom. We're going to get him here. Now he's working like 4 jobs, and it's kind of just we're looking to show the struggle of sort of the everyday man trying to get his life on track. But that vlog's going to drop here in about 2 weeks, and he's going to co-host the show with Brent next week. But in the meantime, we're going to bring on that real professional vlogger, Mr. Andrew Neeme. It's Neeme. I think I'm so funny. All right.
Okay.
What is up, dudes? I am here with the one and only Mr. Andrew Neeme. I am so excited to have you on the show. I have been dying to get you on the show for ages, so thank you so much.
The pleasure is all mine. It's good to be a part of anything that Sarah Hare is doing because not to like kiss up to the host too much here, but I think you are for sure the best at your job in the poker space, like by far, and I don't think it's even close.
Best ever. Fucking love
Best ever. Yeah. I mean, I thought Christy Arnett was really good. She was kind of like your predecessor, right? And now she's off gambling and winning tens of thousands of dollars. I saw, but
I'm so excited for her. It's like killing me. Also, like I'm sharing a screen with you, and I just can't help it. So we're just gonna keep that going. I don't know how to stop it.
No worries.
We're adding in everyone. Everyone's saying hi. Hi to everyone. Andrew says hi. I guess now you can. That way you can see all these people.
Yeah, this is great. I can see everything. What's up, Adam? Oh, how's it going?
Oh my gosh, this is so fun, you guys. Okay, so now this is in my doing some research before we got going on this interview, Andrew. I was reading your blogs on your website, which was basically just like, I guess I'm calling it a blog. It was like a about me kind of stuff, which there was a lot of stuff on there I had no idea. And so I guess a lot of these homies out here are already going to know you and know your story, but I actually didn't know pieces of it and elements of it, like in the music industry and all this other side story. So bring us up to speed. For those who don't know already, give us a little bit of that Neeme backstory.
Yeah, I actually had a few real jobs I got under my belt before starting in the poker world. So when I finished college, I was at Michigan State University. The last semester of my credits basically was an internship in London. And I really didn't know what the hell I wanted to do because I was working on a telecommunications degree, which basically means you learn a little bit about a lot of different things, and you're not really specialized in any one thing. And I didn't know what direction I wanted to go. So I knew I liked music, and I played the drums when I was in high school with some guys. We had a band, and I don't know. I went to this internship program, and I got an internship with a music promotion company, which was awesome. It was a super small company. It's really fun. London is an amazing city, and love my time there. So they hired me for a job after the internship ended. They hired me for a full-time gig. That lasted until my work visa was good. I had to come back to the U.S. after that, of course, and then L.A. was kind of the place for. It's sort of like Los Angeles, New York City, as far as music industry goes, and then maybe Nashville if you're into the country scene. Those are kind of like the three main spots, or at least it was when I was doing the music industry thing. So I went off to Los Angeles, pursued that, continued to pursue it, worked at a similar company as the one in London, and then I did a very short stint at one of those huge agencies, talent agencies. I was at the William Morris agency.
Dang.
Well, I mean, it lasted, like I said, a very short time span. I like to tell, when I talk about that experience, I like to say that it's a lot like, Ari Gold in Entourage. It's a lot like that environment, except no one's filming it, and it's not really funny.
Yeah,
it's
but
like
it's
just
legit. William Morris is legit.
Yeah, for sure. They're like, top top three, maybe top two. They were the originals. So that was like I said, very short time span. It wasn't the environment for me. And I went back to another smaller company, small music marketing agency, advertising agency. And that was around the time of like 2006, 2007. And around that time is when the economy started to basically go to shit. And we were working on some music projects, and we were supposed to be working on some other ones, but they ended up not coming in. My work kind of slowed down, and basically that for me meant more time for playing poker, which I was kind of doing recreationally and just playing online. I'd been playing kind of in my off hours on the weekends or whatever, wherever I could find the time to just, put in some fairly poor poker play. And as work slowed down, that meant more time for reading forums and just putting in more time on the tables. And online poker was a lot easier back then, of course. So I was doing fairly well for someone who probably wasn't like a very good professional poker player. Was just able to grind it up by putting in a lot of hours. Started at the micro stakes, ran it up to 5-10, and 8-10 years later, still playing poker.
Dude, that's so crazy. So first of all, what instrument were you playing? And I want to know a little bit about, and obviously, so some people are asking if they can find your music, but tell me a little bit about what was your band? What was your style?
Well, no, you can't find my music. We never did anything. We never recorded anything. I mean, we were basically like a Nirvana cover band, and I was the drummer. So we were playing. Oh
my gosh, this is the best ever. Stop.
It was fun. It was pretty terrible, but it was pretty fun. Like Nirvana songs are pretty easy to cover. So yeah, it was a good time. But no, thankfully, I mean, it'd be cool if there was like a couple of recordings out there, but you're not going to be able to find them on iTunes or anything like that.
Man, that is super. I mean, I really had no idea, but it also kind of makes sense when you look at, I guess, the creative energy and stuff that goes into making a blog. It's the same sort of like side of the brain, I think, that would make that happen. Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Okay. So there's a lot. That was a really good BTW. Normally when I ask someone to like give me the backstory, it's either like way too long or it's way too short. So that was like, you really hit the nail on the head there. That was perfect.
All right. I'm glad you approve.
Talk to me. I also want to get this out of the way. I spoke about it a little earlier, but my husband and I came on your podcast with Boosie Tells, which we loved, and you guys just went on an adventure in South Africa, which we did a little talking about last week on our podcast, that you guys were headed to South Africa. So tell me, I mean, this is terrifying to me, but tell me a little bit about your experience.
It's terrifying.
Yes.
I mean, Boosie grew up there. She was born and raised there. So most of her family is still there. So we had gone 3 years ago. That was my first time to South Africa. And it's kind of like too long of a trip, too long of a time period in between trips, I think 3 years for her to go home. So we want to try and go more often. But 3 years ago was awesome. This trip was awesome. We got 2 weeks in this time. And it's cool. I mean, it's such like a varied place. There's so many things to do in South Africa, because there's the city of Johannesburg, where she's from. There's coastal towns like Cape Town and Durban, which are, beach towns. There's wine country in Cape Town, which is just as gorgeous as it gets. There you go. That would be right up your alley. There's all the safaris that you can go on, for as long as you want to go on. My first time there, we did a 3-day safari, and it was basically like us being it's not always like a private sort of thing. I mean, you can set it up as a private thing, but ours, we didn't set out to set it up as a private one, but it ended up being a private one. So
that was good.
Yeah. I'm pretty lucky in life. And that was, an amazing experience for 3 days. And then this past time, we just did like a afternoon in this sort of like a smaller park. They call them parks, or, animal refuges or whatever, but it was just like an afternoon thing, and you can go and pet baby lions. And
oh my gosh.
Yeah.
You're like living my fantasy right now. Going to wine country, petting baby lions.
Yeah. So, I mean, obviously there's, lots of issues that exist as well. And, their crime rate is probably a little bit higher than it is in a typical American big city. But at the same time, when you're in Johannesburg, it's like you're in any other city, really. There's going to be some sketchy parts, and there's going to be some parts where it's going to be totally fine to be just hanging out and walking around. And I was doing that by myself, just kind of exploring and walking around, checking out some of the more interesting neighborhoods. And it's an awesome time, and I highly recommend everyone goes and checks it out.
Wow, you're a bold guy. I think and this is something that I've been reading about or heard a lot about for years now, but I think it's been sort of just now coming to the mainstream media in the U.S. is this like white genocide against the farmers in South Africa, which for me, it's just like, it's terrifying. But then I know several people who live there who it's just like, okay, you have to be in certain spaces. You have to know the right areas to be. And I hope it works itself out, because I just heard it's so beautiful and I want to see it. But I'm also like, I really like, being alive. So I try to.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. I mean, there's going to be a lot of stuff that it'll be interesting to see how this plays out over the next year.
They got a new leader, a new president.
I'm trying to get my head around it, read the articles where I can, where I can find time to see what this situation is all about. A lot of the headlines are obviously going to be way more sensational than what's actually happening. They're like adding options as opposed to making this the option, just all sorts of different, it's a lot more nuanced. It always is. So
just like everything else. Like everything. Well, one of the unfortunate parts of your being in South Africa is that's my favorite thing to say. Also,
I love that. I like that accent. That's very well done.
But one of the sad things was that you were just up there shipping American Poker Awards. Simon, thank you also for giving the congrats. But you were up there crushing the American Poker Awards while you were gone. But you did have Joey Ingram throw down for you in your place, which I thought was amazing. But for those who missed it, for those who didn't see the live stream, congratulations, and talk to us a little bit about, what it means to win those awards and be not only the choice of this sort of specific group of media, but also the choice of the people.
Yeah, I mean, that's the interesting thing. Like, award shows you can have whatever opinion about them. Sometimes they're, the industry sort of promoting itself. But and like along those lines, the Vlogger Award, creating a vlog is something that's sort of, there's a lot of creativity that goes into it. And, you could pick like pick like best alternative band at the Grammys or whatever. Like, who's to say like who's the best alternative band, and like what are you judging exactly? So
sure.
when it's like something creative like that, it's it's of course it's cool, but yeah, it's kind of whatever. But as far as that other award, the People's Choice one, that's just like super cool. I mean, what else can you say about it? It's like to have people sort of be motivated to go to the website and click that button, click that vote button. That's yeah, I don't know. It's just really cool. It's been like such a fast ride since vlog number one, and it's awesome to be able to connect with all these people and have them be motivated enough to vote.
I think that's one of the things that I thought was the most interesting, because a lot of the categories, I was like, okay, well, I know who's going to win that, or I'm pretty sure like what's going to happen here. But the People's Choice Award I thought was really interesting, because I thought it could really go a lot of ways. But I felt like what it really showed was just a deep kind of loyalty. It's not just about numbers per se, or like hits or whatever. It's about people who are willing to go the extra mile, to click the button, to go to a different page. And so I think it's definitely worthy of a big congratulations, that not just to you, but also to your fans, that you've built this group of fans that are that committed.
Shout out to all the fans. Shout out to all the vlog watchers. Yeah.
Shout out to the Neemsters. And I thought this was funny when people were responding to that you were coming on the show. Ted Fisher at FishBooks1 said, "A true hero to the everyday poker player. People can relate to Andrew because he represents a likable poor man's version of a poker player, refreshing personality." But I thought that was interesting, because I actually had just read something that you're moving up in stakes. And I mean, I think you're living a pretty boss life. I don't know that you're necessarily representing the poor man, but maybe as opposed to some of the other people that were up for the award and stuff like that, maybe that's what it means.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, if you compare me to Negreanu or Doug Polk, then these are the true ballers over there, and I'm just out here on the grind, the 2-5 and 5-10 grind. So it's all relative, right?
Of course. Well, tell me a little bit. I mean, obviously, if you guys haven't seen it, there's an article on PokerNews which talks about this Reddit Q&A, which you just did, which I'm a big Reddit fan, so I was happy to see that. But talking a little bit about moving up stakes and what that means, all of what that means. I think it's probably a little bit scary, but it's also really exciting and rewarding. And I think all of us are always hoping for and wanting to move up in stakes. So talk to us about how you're, coming into that, and also how you're able to do that when you got to be spending all this time vlogging. It's a full-time job vlogging too.
It is. Yeah. Well, it's at least part-time. That's for sure. Yeah. I'm basically like part-time poker player, part-time blogger at the moment, just because of so many hours it requires. But yeah, I mean, I guess it sort of depends on the person. Because not everybody, I don't know if everybody's going to want to move up in stakes, which might sound kind of surprising, but maybe not everyone wants to sort of have those bigger monetary swings. Maybe some people are more content with the style of play that exists in like 1-3 games and 2-5 games. And, they're happy making, up to like $55,000 or $60,000. And, if you're really doing really well in 2-5 games, you could probably do that. And they just enjoy that level of stress, and there's for sure going to be more stress brought on when you try and move up in stakes. When you have a couple of bad sessions of 5-10, that's thousands of dollars down the drain, and you can be kicking yourself. You can be kicking yourself for sure.
But it also makes for some video gold for those of us watching
for sure.
your vlogs. I feel like this is going to add kind of the next level of drama.
Yeah, we need to set new records in both directions. Biggest loss, biggest win, either way. But what was I going to say?
But then you still keep it casual, because you told me tonight and on Wednesdays you do a meetup with Brad Owen, I want to say. Tell me about that.
My buddy Brad and we host sort of like a bi-weekly meetup game. Every 2 or 3 weeks we have a meetup game. And so, I mean, the general idea is that, poker can be enjoyed in all these different ways. Obviously, there's the professional route that you can take with poker, and that needs to be available. And the recreational route is something that the vast majority of poker players enjoy the game in that manner. So the meetup games are kind of like a cross between those two sort of parallel paths that exist in poker. And the professionals, they sort of need recreational poker to exist in order for them to make a living out of it, right? So we have to have people coming into the game. Poker has to grow, at least not be a declining industry. And it's sort of a recognition of like us, recognizing that poker exists in these different fashions. And it's also a way to sort of just like get beyond me posting a video, somebody comments, I comment back. If we can actually get together in person around a poker table and have a beer, then I think that's a great experience that not just in poker, but if people coming together and having real conversations face to face, that's something that we could definitely use more of. So it's multi-purpose, multi-beneficial. And also if we can like make a fun 2-5 game that isn't just two blind, 9-handed, people grinding it out. If we can add, some bomb pots and 7 deuce game and whatever else the individual tables, whatever rules they want to throw in there, then, good times.
Well, our boy Joe wants to know if you're ever going to do one in foggy London town.
Yes, for sure.
You will?
100%. 100%.
Man, see, I mean, those are the things, of course, obviously, that I'm into because I'm actually poor and not that good at poker. But I love the idea of the meetup game. I'm sad I'm going to be gone. I'm moving, all the way to Tejas. It's very, very depressing. But
yeah, maybe we definitely want to get this little show on the road and bring it to some different locations. And I know there's a lot of people in Texas who would be down for a game. They have all these new they say it's legalized card rooms, but I think they're going to have to sort out some legislation at some point. But in like Houston, there's some new card rooms that are popping up, these membership rooms, and a lot of people have been messaging me about that and bringing the meetup game there. So
yeah,
who knows?
I
Maybe
saw
we'll
that
bring it to
today
you.
on Twitter that they were like maybe going to bring a tournament or something. I was like, yes. Now I'm going onto the Reddit right now too because I want to find. There we go. How good is Andrew Neeme Reddit? Oh my gosh. Do you ever Google yourself? Get serious.
There's like an alert. I get like alerts when there's something posted, I Google myself occasionally. Sure.
Yeah, you got to. Why not? Well, talk to me a little bit about the Reddit Q&A. Were there things that surprised you or like, oh, this was the sickest question ever? Or, oh my gosh, everyone asks me this every time I talk to people?
Everyone wants to know, the backstory. I don't know if anything really surprised me. I mean, I really like writing. So I need to like post a proper blog post. I was doing that for a little while. Before I started vlogging, before I started Instagramming, I was doing the occasional blog post, and writing is pretty fun to me. So it was pretty cool to just be able to run through. I spent like the entire afternoon just kind of like trying to answer every single question that was posted on there. And I don't know. Everyone's very cordial on there, it seems. 2 + 2 can get a little less cordial sometimes, but the Reddit poker is, pretty chill.
Well, there's a lot of drama, I think, of course, right now in the world of potentially legal poker online in the United States, which Joey has dipped his toes into. Do you ever play online?
I dabble. Yeah, I dabble a little bit here and there. We're almost like, I don't know if there's anywhere that's like drier than Nevada online poker situation. So it's a little bit tough here, especially because, I'm thinking about dipping my toes into the streaming thing, the Twitch thing.
Yeah.
But the options are so limited. We have WSOP, which is great to have. At least we have one regulated site, but the traffic is super low.
Yeah.
So that's putting it lightly.
Yeah. I was trying. I basically had some money on there, and then since I'm moving to Texas, I was like, oh, I got to get my money out. And then I couldn't get the money out without having to go to the casino, so I was like, I'll just like spew it off. And then I was really struggling to just spew it off somewhere. Like there wasn't any tournaments that I could find or anything that seemed like an easy snap.
Wow.
Yeah, that makes sense, man. Okay, but if you were to play, would you give some of these unregulated sites a shot, or is it just not worth it?
I dabble in it a little on my own time, but the thing is, like, when you have I get this question a lot, whether it's like in comments or messages or whatever, like which online poker site do you recommend? Mm-hmm. And I might like mention a site or two that I kind of play in, but then it always comes with a disclaimer, which is like, you should never keep money on X site that you can't afford to lose because it's unregulated. They're not audited by a third party. You have no idea what the result will be down the road, et cetera, et cetera. So if I'm like broadcasting myself playing on one of these sites and then, a bunch of people deposit and something bad happens, it's like pretty crappy situation and something, just another like added stress when you're trying to, go to sleep at night if a bunch of people have lost a bunch of money thanks to you directing them there. So I don't think I'll be streaming playing on any of those sites, which is, like I said, makes it pretty tough here in Las Vegas. So yeah.
Yeah, even I tried to make a stream team a couple years ago so somebody didn't, the whole idea I think of Twitch streaming is like, you have to do it all the time. You have to be like super regular. And for a lot of poker players who are traveling, that's just not a realistic thing. So I was like, well, for all you travelers, let's just make one channel where like you can commit to like a few days a month and then we'll have something there every day. But long story short, the fact that nobody can play in the US made it just next to impossible really for us to get anything going.
Yep.
But
yeah,
I
it's
would
tough.
Totally watch your streams. So for the, obviously you play a lot of cash. I mean, at least that's what I've seen on your vlogs. I haven't seen all the vlogs. I need to catch up. But
it's a lot of content. You're a busy lady. I understand.
It's a lot of juicy, delicious content, though. I got to get.
I hope iBus Media and PokerNews and whoever is paying you an appropriate amount, because you are like, is about as valuable as it gets in the poker space, not only on camera, but also behind the camera, I've learned recently.
Oh, Andrew, I love you for saying that. I always feel like people think I just travel around to these poker tournaments and like, oh, I'm having so much fun. This is the best ever. But seriously, iBus Media, if you're listening, help me. I'm poor. And I do like 5 jobs. So maybe me and Pam, who is the social media coordinator, does like 5 jobs. So maybe they should give us like 5 salaries. Just an idea. Right. I'm just saying. But
I would get behind that idea. I would back that for you. Yeah.
So I'm going to start a petition. Your name is going to be the first, like the Declaration of Independence, like John Hancock. I want Andrew Neeme's autograph as big as possible.
We'll pin it to the top of the comments under a video.
Well, talk to me though about how you're planning your summer. Do you do a lot of just playing? Do you grind mostly cash in the summer and just with a few tourneys mixed in there? What does the summer look like for you?
Yeah, that's basically sums up the plan for all of my previous years. I've played like so few tournaments, and it's pretty hilarious. Like when I'll mention something about the Hendon Mob, and then like in a video, and then a bunch of people will search me out on the Hendon Mob, and you know how it like lists the top 7 or the top 3 most popular poker players over the past week or whatever. Yeah. And it's like me next with my like 50K in winnings next to Daniel Negreanu with like $32 million, Fader Holtz with like whatever, $30 million.
Who's got the most searches? This guy.
It's pretty funny. It's a pretty funny site. But this year I think I'm actually going to probably get in there and fire at a bunch of tournaments. It seems like tournament poker hasn't slowed down one bit over the years. It seems like it's still super popular, like all over the country. And to be able to play a bunch and not have to travel to a lot of them, living here in Las Vegas, I think that's a pretty ideal situation. And I sort of made it a goal for myself to kick that miserable Hendon Mob number up to at least the 6-figure mark this year. I want to try and do that. So yeah, I'm just going to get in there and I think fire a little bit heavier and probably still play some cash games along the way.
I love it. I mean, it's one of the things I was thinking about. Anytime you sort of put yourself out there, especially in this, poker space, as big as you exploded, I think, in the last couple years, as fast as you exploded on the scene, I was imagining that probably a lot of opportunities have come your way that maybe either you're interested in or not interested in. But what are some of the shifts in terms of just, I guess, you and your life that have come as a result of getting all this exposure as being such a good vlogger?
I think anytime you're able to sort of create a product that ends up in creating and building an audience, that there's going to be outside interests that want to sort of be a part of that and work together with you. As a result, it's led to invites from companies like 888 and Party Poker to come check out, one or two of their festivals overseas. And that's been really cool to work with them because, opposite of what we were talking about before, these guys are doing the legality thing all on the up and up. And to be able to direct the audience, or kind of soft direct them there, is great. And they're trying to be a competitor on the online poker space, which is something that we need more of, and happy to work with companies like that. So yeah, as that for sure comes as a result of the vlog, because they weren't going to invite some random 2-5 or 5-10 grinder to the festival.
But I love it. It's interesting, and I guess I don't know. We've talked about this a few times on the podcast, where PokerStars is clearly moving this direction of I guess parting ways with a lot of their pros, and I saw the shift maybe last year that they were making deals with a lot of streamers, and then it kind of seems like now they're going more and more towards the celebrity side. And my position has always been that, like what we talked about in terms of you winning the award, that the streamers have this really loyal kind of audience that's already clearly showcasing an interest in poker. But do you think that streamers are sort of the future of pros? Like, we don't really need or have pros anymore, but that these streamers are sort of the new celebrity?
Well, I think that's kind of existing. I think that's kind of the shift in basically all of marketing and advertising. I think this sort of influencer marketing thing is where more and more advertising dollars are going to be spent. Like these, massive Instagram accounts, people that are, like travel bloggers and stuff. The hotels are paying these people to come to their hotel and stay there for a week for free and just post about it.
Dude,
so it's not just
the wrong industry.
Yeah, no shit. I mean, it's like poker has sort of always been a very slow moving industry, and this is something that, yeah, for sure, it's going to end up being more and more a part of it. But I mean, I don't think it's just going to be people that are like myself and kind of mediocre at poker. I think it's going to be, you got guys like Lex Veldhouse, who is a fantastic player, and he's also the top streamer at the moment, I think. So you can find, you'll probably find guys that are really good poker players that stream more and more, because it just makes sense to. It makes sense for everybody. It makes sense for themselves to sort of build their personal brand, and that's kind of like where the most value is for the online poker sites. And when everyone's working together and they're creating fun content for the audience, as long as the audience is, benefiting from it and not just being spammed with something, then that's a win for everybody.
Yes, 100%. And it gives so many more options. I feel like the new kind of influencer marketing gives people the opportunity to be themselves, right? You don't have to be like, oh, I have to be this certain image and maintain this certain. It's like people are attracted to so many different things, and this really, now we have this space that is full of all whatever you're into, dude. There's someone out there.
You can do whatever you want. That's the cool thing. That's the awesome thing about the internet, is that you can literally do whatever you want. You can create whatever you want. You can capture yourself, and put it out there just as you are. And you'll probably find some people that are into that. In fact, I'm like 100% sure that you will.
Yes. And I think you and I talked about this maybe a little bit on the Tells podcast, but one of my favorite parts of it, and one of my favorite parts about your vlog, and I've told you I've been trying to teach some other people to make a vlog, not that I even have any experience doing that, but I want to see more vloggers out there, and I've been pushing, and it's this vulnerableness. People for so long, I think for, the first 10 years of social media, it was all about this package of, oh, look at like how I'm at the gym and my life is amazing and blah blah. But now people want to see like you hurting, and they want to see you like eating a whole entire pizza, and like they want to see these things that are uglier.
Yeah, they want to see the realness. That's just it's that relatability factor that's massive, and I think that's like played a big part of my YouTube channel's growth, is just people are able to relate to both the grind and the ups and downs. They don't want to see someone just winning all the time, and you have to post those losing sessions. That's it's all part of real life. Yeah. It makes obviously there's people that want to see nothing but downs, but those people aren't probably that happy. So they want to. The best formula is to just make it as sincere as you can.
Even for me, for my job, even when you get a winner who cries, or even someone who's like super thrilled about being fourth place or third place or whatever it is, like just seeing real human emotion is like just the most attractive thing. It feels so good to, see it and be a part of it, whether it's good or bad. But yeah, okay, I like the bad too a little bit. I wanted to get to a couple of these other guest questions, and then I know I'll let you go. We're just going to go like 5 minutes over or so.
No worries. I got plenty of time.
Yes. And also, I was just thinking, you're just like right around the corner from me, actually. I was sitting on my patio yesterday, and I was like, Andrew, we should have done this in person.
Once again, I can see your building. I can see you. I don't know.
I'm on the other side, but still. So I talked to Bryn Kenny and Martin Jacobson in the last couple weeks, and both of them were talking about sort of what they perceive to be the, I guess, trends and shifts in the game at the moment. And both of them were talking a little bit about the sort of math-based, like, wizardry that seems to have overtaken a lot of these high-stakes games and also a lot of the tournaments. And so for someone, in the, like, 2-5, 5-10 world, do you think that this total, math-based approach is also, like, bleeding over into that, or do you see that?
It depends. Like, you for sure want to, like, learn as much about that as you can while you're trying to move up in stakes. When you're in the lower stakes, like 1-2, 1-3, and 2-5, and then some 5-10 games, it doesn't matter at all. You can just play like completely exploitive, and you don't have to worry so much about the GTO side of things. But when you start facing tougher and tougher players, in like some of the 5-10 games, there's some pretty solid players to be found in these lineups. So you want to be able to have a style where you're not going to be able to get exploited, and that's where all that sort of stuff comes in. But yeah, as far as like the lower stakes goes, it's going to be a little while before any of that stuff matters too much.
Yes, my kind of thing. Okay, Judah wants to know, with the Poker Players Alliance struggling, do you think that pros should take a larger role in the fight for legalized online poker in the U.S.?
A bigger role in the fight for legalized poker? I guess it depends on what exactly that entails.
Like, do we have to fight? Because if so, poker players should not be involved in that.
It's tough because, so much of this is just so dependent on like interests that have a lot of money and skin in the game. And obviously, yeah, for sure, like every little bit helps, I think. But, so much of it is like Sheldon Adelson's money, and, are individual poker players going to be able to have a sway versus that sort of power? I don't know. It's not really like my specialty or my area of expertise. It's, like I said, every little bit helps. But I think what really helps is, and you can't really like, force people to do anything, but sort of this, is creating content and like, whether that's streaming or blogging, and sort of showing people what poker is like, from a professional standpoint or from a recreational standpoint, and show that it's not, just the sort of old vision of, backroom. Okay, maybe it is still a little bit like that, Jay Cody. But yeah, it's not all, poker just doesn't exist in back rooms, underground stuff like that. It's very everyday sort of thing for a lot of people, and it's just not that big of a deal. It's not something that like millions of addicts are playing. It's something that people are playing very casually, and they enjoy it on a very regular basis. So the more exposure in that regard, the better. Yeah, I don't know.
It's interesting because I talked to a couple of the vloggers about this, but I think especially for someone who's and has been grinding cash for a while now, it's such a difficult thing to really showcase to your family and friends. Something like, oh, you win a big tournament. It's like, oh, I have $200,000, or you're playing online, so you have 12 tables and you're able to really show, like, look at the numbers, look at how much I have. For you, and coming from this clearly very different sort of start in your life, what was the reaction from your family and friends in becoming a poker player?
Yeah, that's like, I think another way that I've been pretty lucky is that my family's always been pretty open-minded about that sort of thing. I was an okay student and been pretty level-headed, I think, for the most of my life, so they weren't too worried about what I was getting myself into. But yeah, like from a personal standpoint, it's always, I think my mom has kind of gotten a kick out of telling people what her son is doing in Las Vegas and their reaction that gets from people. And
Is
my
she
friends.
still in Michigan?
She is. She might be watching this right now. So hi, Mom.
Hi, Mom. I love Michigan too. I think Michigan is like the best secret in our country. It's like a Malibu in the middle of the country. You don't realize. You can get like a waterfront property for $150K.
It's amazing. In Detroit, there's a lot of cool things happening in Detroit these days. You know, there's a lot of development that's going on. It's a fun city. It's a fun city these days.
Detroit, Rock City.
There you go.
That's why. That's where you came from.
True story. But my friends, they've probably, I don't think they totally get it, but they think it's kind of cool or kind of funny or whatever. And then now I have my circle of poker friends. But yeah, I don't know. For a lot of people, that's kind of an issue, you know, that's like, how do you explain this to your parents when they, you know, hate gambling and stuff like that? It's a tough spot, but like, if this is what you love, you gotta do it anyway, you know?
It's a tough spot, but poker's full of tough spots, so get used to it.
I mean, life is. I mean, it's like, what's better, like doing the thing that you really love and being successful at it, or doing something that you're not really that into and finding like mediocre to not much success?
Being like
making your mom happy.
Mediumly.
Yeah,
okay, last question is from Terry. He wants to know who's your favorite players, but I think this kind of closely ties in. I also want to know, you said you now have some close friends in poker, and I think that having these core groups of people that are your sort of closest poker friends is both plus EV in your game and also in your life. So in addition to Terry's, who are your favorite players, who are some of your closest friends in poker?
Shout out to Benton Blakeman. He's a good buddy of mine that I probably chat the most poker with. John Kim and Joe Tehan, they're in the group, the text message group. They're
NAP
awesome.
Tehan.
Exactly, famous. You should put that link up for your chat members. But the rest of the group, we got John Hemmer in there. He's since left us to go trade, become a Chicago trader.
Same, basically.
Yeah. Some of my favorite players, I don't know, these days. I mean, I came up in poker sort of idolizing Antonio and Daniel Negreanu. So yeah, those guys have always been my favorite. And then, you know, guys like Patrick Antonius and Phil Ivey and Durr, all the, you know, when
poker after dark.
When TV poker was at its peak, those were the superstars.
Man, well, you're the superstar now, so thank you for coming on our Poker News podcast, and tell everyone where they can find you. I want to know. I also want you to throw in there the Tells podcast from my girl Boosie. But
absolutely.
Where can everyone find you? Where can they? Of course, I'll put links to everything in the description, but we want to know where you're at.
Yeah, let's put the Tells podcast first. That's
Number
just
one.
Yeah. We have a website, just tellspodcast.com. But you can find it on iTunes if you just search for Tells Podcast. You can find me on YouTube, Andrew Neeme, youtube.com/Andrew Neeme. Instagram is YAY Andrew. And
Yay,
Twitter is
Andrew.
That's the one. And then Twitter, Andrew Neeme. Pretty simple, pretty straightforward.
Man, so someone snaked Andrew Neeme on Instagram before you could get there?
I don't know what I was thinking with that YAY Andrew thing. I really don't. I did it on like a complete whim, and then just never bothered to change it. And then I was doing this daily Instagram challenge thing, and just, you know, I don't know what happened.
Man, because I always think, I'm like, man, Neeme's tough because people don't know how to say it for a while, but at least you can get those social media names. Like, you can have your actual name on social media.
I mean, I think once I had like 400 followers on Instagram, like, well, I can't change it now. They're not going to know how to find me or something. Something silly.
You're pot committed, dude. You're deep in that yay Andrew now.
That's right. As ridiculous as it is, that's what it is.
Awesome. Well, I'll put a link, of course, if you guys want to check out Andrew's vlogs. I'm sure you guys have seen them, but if you haven't, they are awesome. They are very just real, genuine, but there's also a little, you know, there's some fun in there. There's some life. There's some poker strategy. Everything you want in a vlog. Andrew's got it for you. Thank you so much, my darling. Give
my pleasure, Sarah.
Boosie a big wet kiss from Auntie Chardonnay.
Will do.
I love that guy. That's all I'm saying. I guess I probably
was a great
say that,
interview.
Like, I say it every
time.
No,
that is like the staple. But yeah, Andrew's awesome. It's awesome that we got him on the show. I'm sure, like, obviously his schedule being out of the country for a while, on top of being like a very busy, up and coming, huge award-winning vlogger. Glad they could work us in.
And just the chillest mofo. It's just so interesting, you know? It's like, I think we just had such a misrepresented and misunderstood concept of entertainment for so long. And I briefly touched on it in the interview, but it's so funny because he's so basically deadpan all the time that you would just think, you know, like if you're like a traditional casting director, which apparently he was working at like an agency and all.
Oh, right. Yeah.
You're never looking and being like, you know what? That's going to be the guy that's going to charm the pants off everyone. But it really shows. It's like everybody has their own inner kind of flair. And when you're just really true to that, it's just attractive. It's just people want to watch that. People like that. I love Andrew. But there's a lot of new kind of faces, I think, in the poker world. And I've been talking to the Global Poker guys recently a lot. And they're sponsoring players who, a lot of them, okay, they're sponsoring a few players with like some very different backgrounds, but most of them are just like regular kind of people who have regular jobs and who do this as more of a hobby. And one of them, I'm trying to get her on to do a Facebook Live. I was trying to get her on this week, but I don't know if that's going to work. But her name's Sandra Leffler. She goes by Mommy Gingery on the interwebs on Global Poker, and she's been playing online, but she's a mom. She's got a whole life, a whole other things going on, but she came to the Win Classic, and actually she won a couple of events. She got super deep in a bunch of things, and yeah, I think it was really, really successful for her. Now that it's ended, I want to get her on and talk about her success, but I love this idea, and if you guys want to try Global Poker, they have, $200,000 in guaranteed cash prizes in this, most recent campaign. That's not double, not triple, but 4 times their biggest ever standalone tournament guarantee. What's crazier is that you can qualify for as little as $1.50 in sweeps cash. Qualify today at globalpoker.com and see why Global Poker is the fastest growing site for U.S. players. And I like the idea of sponsoring people who have like a normal size bankroll and are just... it's like you get all these sponsored players, and the sponsored players are the ones that are like rich already, dude. Like they don't they don't need to.
It is weird. It's like they have an experience of life that like is not a thing that I can connect with. So these are the kinds of people I think a lot more, like we've talked about it before. There's like 20 guys, or maybe more than 20 guys, but there's people at the top, but a large majority of the people who play poker and who are going to keep poker alive are normal people who maybe just play a home game or just toss over to, the Global Poker website and mess around in the $1.50 things. And those are the kinds of people, like the fans, the people who listen to all the different podcasts and watch all these vloggers. This is the bread and butter of poker. It's what's going to keep it growing. I think this is it should be really exciting. I'm excited to see what happens with Global Poker because I think initially everyone's kind of thinking like, wait a minute, how is this happening? And how have I just now heard about it? Which is what I felt like last week. And I've asked a few people some questions. I've checked it out a little bit. I haven't actually played anything on there yet, but I might dilly dally, mess around on there a little bit and just check it out. Do some, investigative journalism on. No, I guess Joey's going to do that, but it's exciting because I think it's definitely going to open some doors.
Okay, so we have a new sponsor, you guys, next month, and Brent is going to have to be in charge of it, and I want to know, when you made your online account, wait, is it eHarmony? Is it Match.com?
It's eHarmony.
eHarmony, that's what I thought. Okay.
Yeah, okay, that's important. At least I think it is, because that's where I made the profile.
Right.
So.
Okay, so you guys, coming up in April, eHarmony is going to be one of our sponsors, which I'm super. I've never online dated. I got married before that was really a thing, and I never really got to even see much of what it's all about. So I'm really excited to check out all of your stuff. But did you put a picture on with the mustache?
Yeah. Well, there's a photo from the American Poker Awards that I actually took with Sasha. Sasha and I took a photo together. And it's a good photo, and but I'm wondering, like, on a dating profile, is there supposed to be a picture of me, like, with a girl? But
Probably not. But can't you put up, like, multiple pictures? Anyways, we'll talk more about it in April. But I really was wondering if you were going to have a mustache pick, because that's my pick for you. And
I think it's important to have a very current. I mean, I'm not great at online dating, but I assume that having a photo that looks the way I'm gonna look when I show up is kind of important.
I can't wait. I hope we find your dream girl. We're gonna have to go on and screen share and like check off the.
I may need some help with the photos. I should probably get some new photos.
I'll help you. You have to use natural light. That's the key.
Yeah, exactly. Well, no, this is cool. So that's set up and it's all ready to go. It's going to be very exciting.
Oh, we're going to fight it. Let's
have eHarmony updates all the time.
And I was dying because the person who works for Audio Boom wrote, hey,
Brett!
And I was like, hashtag Brent, not Brett. Continue.
I actually said, I was like, wait, my email is Brent.Harrington.
I double checked. I'm like,
but that's
I
okay,
said
though.
Brent.
That's okay.
No,
that's
Brent,
fine.
not Brett, and pretty soon it's gonna be hashtag Brent finds love or something like that. Let us know what you guys think when we're finding Brent his future wifey, what the hashtag should be. In the meantime, we can continue on with hashtag Brent not Brett, hashtag no fucks given, hashtag if you don't like it, don't fucking watch. I hope you guys like this video version. If not, it's a lot of extra work, so I can just skip it. But
fine. Great. Yeah. You're like, hashtag okay, that's cool. We won't do it anymore.
Hashtag okay.
The hashtags are getting really long.
Yeah. So you guys can see, you can find me at AUNTY Chardonnay. If you don't know how to spell Chardonnay, look it up. Or you can, of course, Google Sarah Herring Twitter at Brent Harrington on Twitter. Brent, that's Brent with an N. The whole thing. That's right. Brent Harrington.
All of it. Brent.
All of it. Next week.
Like the musical with a B.
Next week, we're going to be I'm not going to be on the show, but Brent will be. And then the week after that, I've got a great guest for us, a vlogger, someone who just wrote a book about poker and the poker scene, Kristen Mashman. I'm totally butchering the last name probably, but it's got like 1 million consonants in it. It's really difficult.
Okay.
But we'll have her on at the end of March. And yeah, I'll miss you guys next week. But next time you hear me, I'll be all like, hey, y'all.
Right.
I'll be in Texas.
And then,
I can't wait. Yeah. All right, cool. Thank you guys so much. Also, big thanks, of course, a shout out to the boss who makes this all possible, Roberto Moreno, editor of the show. I'm Sarah Herring. Deuces.